Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Oscar Buzz. Hope you all are doing well. Today, we're talking about some festival stuff. Thomas has been at London Film Fest. I've been at Chicago Film Festival. And we watched Aftersun.
We did. And
My God.
I'll start by saying it's my favorite film of the year so far. Like,
Yeah, same.
just
No,
to
it's
lay
the
all the
best
cards out on the table. Favorite film of the year so far.
It's the best. Yeah.
Like, it's perfect. It's like
a perfect movie.
we're going to be doing this review. We're not going to say a single negative thing about it. I don't think so. Just
gonna gush.
Yes, yeah.
I mean,
Indeed.
it's like I would say it is both my favorite movie of the year, but also being objective as possible.
Being objectively, probably the best. Yeah, definitely.
I don't know. So it's directed by Charlotte Wells, written by Charlotte Wells, directorial and writing debut.
Yes, which is insane.
Astonishing.
Yeah.
Absolutely astonishing. It stars Paul Mescal, probably my favorite leading performance of the year.
He is incredible in this. He really, the character is such an interesting character, but Paul Mescal as an actor really adds something to it. And just an incredible character, an incredible performance
through this performance.
Yes, exactly.
He's like,
and it's so real as well.
Dialogue.
So real. No, right. And it's all through facial expressions, body language, all of that kind of stuff. He just creates this living and breathing person.
It's a perfect performance.
And with a film that doesn't have much of a plot, I'm not saying that as a negative. I don't think it needs much of a plot, but it is something to know. Not much happens. You do need a sort of character like this to really bring you through, and I definitely think he accomplishes that. Not single-handedly, obviously. There's also the supporting performance, which I'm sure we'll
Frankie Corio.
Yeah,
I mean, which you could argue that they're both leads, or
you could
whatever.
Argue,
but I mean, Frankie Corio, just like again, an acting debut.
Another phenomenal talent. Phenomenal talent.
Oh, reminiscent of Woody Norman. As far as just stunningly good child performances.
I think better, in all honesty. For me,
I would agree. I think that she's better. Not to compare. I mean, I have Come On and Moonlight displayed. Because Charlotte Wells is the protege of Barry Jenkins, and I think that's very evident with like the framing device. I don't want to say any spoilers about this movie, but with the framing devices that she uses to tell stories over time, like it's so contained, but it feels so big. Very reminiscent of Moonlight and Barry Jenkins' work, and I mean, I think it dives into like adult and child relationships as good as well, if not better than Come On. Again, not saying that all movies need to be compared, but these are the two that it reminded me the most of, and I think it takes like the best of both worlds from these movies. And
I also think look at the two films you're comparing it to. Those are a good two to compare.
Two, in my opinion, 5-star movies. Like I would call both of these masterpieces, and Aftersun is just like transcendent. So like we've talked about the performances. They're just, I don't know, they have such good chemistry together, but they also play into like how like the isolation that both characters are feeling through their connection. And again, I really don't want to say any spoilers. I have so much to say, but I still don't really know how to express it. I'm still kind of speechless. I mean,
I mean, it works on so many different levels, which I think is a great thing. Like, it's not just a character-driven film. Like, it's got all of the technical elements. They're all there. They're all some of the best I've seen all year. The cinematography,
the editing,
especially the editing,
jaw drop.
The editing is, there's so many just things that you look at and go, how do you do that? How do you actually go about doing that?
Final, again, no spoilers. The final sequence, there is an editing transition that blew my mind, made my jaw drop, and made me want to sob. Like,
there's so much interesting stuff to do with editing, camera, sound as well. Just very interesting, technically
and layered. Like, it just, every sound, like, I know it feels like they just filmed with that, like a set. They just filmed amongst regular people, and they just took every sound and amplified it and leveled it to make it feel cinematic. Like, it's just every single, nothing is cut out. Nothing is like, no sound is pushed to the sides. That way we can focus more on the characters. It's just everything is there, and it's so immersive and so real. I mean, the cinematography, how it uses mirrors,
reflections and all of that,
reflections,
and even like framing of how certain characters are framed at some points,
and how things are captured on video, and like how mirrors and video, and how reflections of life and capturing it. How you can capture life, but how that is kind of warped and isn't actually real life, and how like the absence of reflection and the absence of light can like, you know, taint memories. And like, I mean, there's a sequence there where it's dark and light keeps flashing, and it is, again, trying to say as non-spoiler as possible, but Jesus Christ.
Like it's just very beautiful to look at, just aesthetic wise, and B, metaphorically, it all just works as well. So it's firing on like every single level.
A movie that, like, it is the definition of a movie that works on every single level.
And I don't think anyone would not like this film. Like, it's short, so even if you're worried about, I don't want to watch a boring film where nothing happens, it's short. It breezes by. Exactly. And the characters, they are just so beautifully written. The whole film has this air of nostalgia around it. So even if like,
but it's also so timeless.
Exactly. It does feel very timeless. But like, even if you're not really like, you didn't go on holiday to Turkey in the 1990s, it doesn't matter. You feel like you're there. You just become so immersed in this world, and like, it's doing a lot of interesting stuff.
So genuine. The interpersonal relationships of our two protagonists like just feel so real, and we learn so much. Again, I just keep thinking about Paul Mescal's character. We learn so much about his character just in the way that he is framed.
And like the first 5 minutes.
There is a sequence there's a scene within the first 5 minutes where it's just like a 3-minute long take that just holds on him smoking outdoors. And you learn literally everything you need to know about that character in those 3 minutes. Just silence him smoking outdoors. Just in the way that he acts, and the way that he looks back at Frankie Corio, you know, and like the way that he is like observing the outdoors, and observing her, and observing himself in the mirror. Like, it is a perfect movie.
And like, it's a film that you like read about it after, and you go, it's based off of personal experience, you know. Well, obviously, like, this feels so personal, it feels so real. And like, it also does a lot of very interesting stuff with like video footage things. It doesn't feel like a gimmick. It's stylistic and it's got purpose, and it really adds an extra sort of level to the film, and it just enhances the themes and gives you another thing to appreciate if you didn't have enough things already to appreciate with this film.
Oh, absolutely. Let's give ratings and awards talk briefly, and then I want to talk about spoilers.
I mean, do we need to give ratings really?
It's 10 out of 10. It's our favorite movie of the year. Obviously, it's a 10 out of 10. Awards, I feel very skeptical, unfortunately. I think it can do well at the Indie Spirits and the Gothams, and hopefully it can pick up like a Critics' Choice nomination, like screenplay or something, or Frankie Corio can get a Young Performer nomination like Woody Norman did.
I think that could happen. But it's a first-time feature. It's not going to get as much.
A24 is going to be prioritizing Everything Everywhere in the Whale.
And the Whale.
Like, maybe this can get a DGA nom for first feature. I mean, it should honestly win. But I think if Emma Seligman could get in, and deservedly so, I think that Charlotte Wells could absolutely get in. Same thing for like WGA for first-time screenplay.
I definitely think that could. I could see
it popping up WGA, DGA, things like that. I could see those happening, and this just better sweep the Indie Spirits and the Gothams.
Yes, and I mean, I'm hoping it does. I feel confident in the fact that we'll get stuff like that.
At least not.
I've heard cries for maybe it's going to be an original screenplay thing at the Oscars. No, it's.
I
really
hope so.
not.
Well, let's
keep
that energy up, though. Let's keep that energy up.
Sorry, I'm a bit of a defeatist here. I mean, there's nothing more I'd love than for it to pick up an original screenplay nod at the Oscars. Personally, I don't think will happen, but let's start that train.
Yes, let's keep it up. Okay, let's talk about spoilers. So if you haven't seen this film, and presumably if you aren't at a festival, you haven't, but come back to this once you have seen it, when it comes out publicly. I think the US October 21st and the UK November 18th, I want to say, are the dates. So
I think so.
Once you've seen it, come back, and or if you're watching it then obviously just please don't go into this movie spoiled. Like, go in spoiler free.
I mean, not that the spoilers are. I mean, there aren't really major spoilers for it, but just, you know,
experience this. Go in and experience it. So okay, so we'll be spoiling starting now. You've had your warnings. how we end with Paul Mescal's character, because he's such a complex character, right? He's a single father now. He's lost his relationship, we can presume, because he's gay or
There's a
bi.
lot of hints to that. Yeah. I mean, it's
Like,
never explicitly said, but
right.
I mean, work it
He's
out. Work
very.
it out.
He mentions that he's going to move in with a guy named Keith,
Yeah.
right? Like
There are
there's
lots of hints.
he's not straight. We'll put it that
No,
way.
no.
And it seems like he has a lot of like self-loathing because of that, and is very insecure with a lot of his relationships. And I think you see that reflected with his relationship with his daughter and how insecure he is because of that. And he doesn't feel like he is like the father figure that he should be, right?
He needs to
He
be.
isn't
Yeah.
the conventional father figure. There is a moment later in the film where it's his birthday, and Frankie Corio's character, the daughter, Sophie, just say her
Yeah.
name,
Sophie.
Sophie. She has everybody around them start singing "For He's a Good, Jolly Good Fellow" for Callum, which is Paul Mescal's character. And we zoom up, and he's standing on top of like this like pyramid, and we zoom up and we're looking at him, and you just see him like so high above, and it's almost like he's like this hero, right?
Mm,
Looking down, right? And that's how Sophie sees him, as this hero,
yeah.
as this, just like this perfect person in her eyes.
Yeah.
And
But then, like, the body language and facial expressions
right,
demonstrate that he's
he's just
uncomfortable. And it's
right.
like this contradictory nature between what he
And
should
then
be and what he isn't. And it's all
immediately
colliding.
afterwards,
Yeah.
we fade into him just sobbing on the bed.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just this like this conflicting and contradicting nature
Yeah.
of how his daughter views him and how he views himself.
Mm,
And it's explored just so beautifully. And then we see Sophie, we cut to her later in life, where it looks like she's in a relationship with a woman, and she has a daughter of her own, and she's having these memories and flashes of her father Callum, and we never know what happened to Callum. We don't know if maybe Callum died.
no.
We
Yeah.
don't know, if they just aren't in a relationship, aren't close anymore, because we end the trip in
Yeah.
Turkey with her leaving, captured on a video camera. She waves goodbye, right? I love you. She leaves. And which, first of all, I've seen this film twice. That's like, there's a montage at the beginning of the film, and that's the first thing that you see, and it absolutely broke me. But um we see Sophie, and she has a daughter of herself, and throughout the film we see these flashes of darkness, and then we see her like kind of interacting with Callum.
Yeah.
And we don't entirely know what it is, but how this film ends is Sophie watching her saying goodbye to her father on a video camera. The camera then, kind of pulls out, reveals that it's on a TV, because we're seeing the moment happen in real time on the video
Yeah.
camera. We pull out, see that it's on a TV. We slowly pan around. We see Sophie on the couch watching.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we pan back around, and we're seeing Callum alone in this hallway videoing,
Yeah.
right? Presumably videoing her as she's leaving. And he walks out of the airport through the doors and into the room that we've been seeing the entire time, of the darkness with the flashing lights.
Yeah.
And I think the idea of the film is that through reflection and through video, right, you can capture life,
Yeah.
and you can capture memories. And after he left, he went into the space which wasn't capturable by mirrors or memories.
No.
It
Yeah.
was just this kind of, she was trying to piece together the memories of what
Yeah,
happened.
because I think that those like flashing, that's whole sort of motif is also important, because at the beginning it's quite blurry. You don't really know
Right.
what's happening. You don't know who any of the characters are. And then as it goes through, it gets clearer and clearer. And then Sophie as an adult starts to enter the picture, and it's like
And then
her
we see Sophie
watching
as a
these videos.
child.
Yeah,
Yes.
her watching these videos is allowing her to build a better sort of image of
Right.
him. And that's just very well done, how throughout
Yeah.
these sort of motifs slowly build to just add to the whole thematic nature of the film. And I think
Right.
that's
Because
incredible.
yeah, because I think that room with the flashing lights is a representation of her memory.
Yes,
And
I
as
agree.
as she is viewing these videos, and I think that we can presume all of the, because we're watching it in the 90s, but I think that all of the interludes of the video camera recordings, I think that is Sophie watching them in the present
Yes,
day.
I'd assume so.
and then placing, because very shortly after those, then we cut to the memory getting a bit clearer, right? And it all culminates with dancing, which is the last thing that her and Callum did when on their trip in Turkey before she left, right? And on the airplane. And it is so beautifully done. Like it's so rewatchable. How that pieces together and how her memory pieces together, and we're piecing her memories together with her, but unknowingly, because we don't know what's going on the entire time, but we are still piecing it together. And then by the end, we realize that we're piecing it together exactly as Sophie has been. I mean, and like you have all these things with Callum, right? And mirrors, and he's obviously very depressed, doing a lot of like physical exercises and mental exercises. And we constantly
throughout the film.
Yes, and we constantly see him being viewed through mirrors because he sees himself as an incomplete person, right? He doesn't see himself as, what he should be for Sophie.
Yeah. And which also feeds into the idea of him being quite blurry at the beginning because he feels incomplete and
and
it just all ties together.
Camera,
and it's layered upon layers upon layers of
capturing
meaning.
him as,
like it's a video cameras are a reflection of reality, but are they reality? It's playing with all of these themes. It's juggling all of these ideas
of reality
exactly
in which you can view the past and view memories.
Yeah, and it's juggling all these ideas and it balances them just so perfectly. It really earns your attention. Well. It earns you sort of being focused and immersed, because if you are like fully involved with the film, the ending, I guess it's I don't know what else to call it. We'll call it a twist. It's not really a twist, but like the twist is
payoff.
Payoff. Yeah, that's probably a better term for it. But that ending payoff just hits so hard at the end, and like
it's such a rewarding movie.
Be emotional at the end of it. You will be emotional. You may not cry, but you will be emotional.
Yes. I mean, I sobbed for quite a bit. And like, it builds all of these things, and you don't really know what the movie's doing until the end, but you just feel so engrossed the entire time. And then by the time it gets to the end, you realize what Charlotte Wells has been doing this entire time. And you realize how she was building everything and how you were completely engrossed, but you piece everything together.
Yeah, because it's subconsciously done. Like you're not consciously going, "Oh, I wonder what this means. I wonder what this means."
Yeah.
I mean, several times we mentioned whilst we were, like I forgot about the light, the sort of flashing light motifs, but every time it was reminded of, subconsciously you're sort of piecing it together, and it's so carefully and like ambiguously, but in like the best way possible. Yeah, like as we've been saying, it definitely rewards you for really just getting involved with the film itself and like actually trying to look for deeper meaning rather than just like knowing everything straight away.
Absolutely. I mean, it's just a perfect, like you get done with it and you immediately want to watch it again.
Yeah, definitely.
It is just a perfect movie. Like how it looks at they're such a pure bond, but then also the isolation that can be, accompanied by it, and how Sophie begins to look for other people to kind of feel that emotional connection. And it's, I don't know. We could talk about this movie forever, but do you have any final thoughts?
Just like go see it. I know we say this a lot with certain films that we really like, but this is just definitely one. Like, I don't think you need to watch it in a theater. Don't worry about that. Just find a way to watch it. Just find whether that's at home, at a theater, whatever, on your phone, in your car. Just watch it, okay?
Just watch. Please watch this movie. It's our favorite of the year. I would be surprised if this didn't end up being
both of our favorite movies of the year. I really don't think anything's
it's one of my favorite movies of all time already. Like it's a perfect film. It's a perfect film.
Please, and I can't wait to watch what Charlotte Wells does next. Like, honestly, I mean, I'm waiting with bated breath of whatever she puts out next.
Like, this is the first feature.
Yeah.
It's the first feature. Also, can't wait to see Paul Mescal in more leading roles, because he hasn't, like, this is really his first leading role, and he deserves so much more because he just brings so much emotion and tenderness and depth to this role. And it's perfect movie. Anyways, thank you everybody for watching. Please watch Aftersun. Just please. Please watch Aftersun. You can be expecting more reviews here. Thomas has seen some things at London Film Festival. I've seen some things at Chicago Film Festival, and we'll be seeing more things at Chicago Film Festival. So you can find all of those things here. So you can subscribe for more, plus awards predictions, reactions, festival coverage, all of these things. So until next time, thank you everybody for watching. Stay safe.